Your ultimate concern. Your top goal will control your life and happiness by Tom Stevens. Paul Tillich, a great philosopher and theologian of the modern era, said that our ultimate concern is probably the most important single factor determining our personality in our life. It is our most important value. He called it our personal God because it is so powerful. Our ultimate concern determines other values, beliefs, goals, feelings, and actions. For example, if money is my ultimate concern, then I will focus upon making money above all else. I will choose a career, wife, car, dress, and activities that are consistent with making the most money I can. If money is my ultimate concern, then when the value of money conflicts with another value, the value of making money will always win the conflict. My money god will control me and determine much of my personality and my relationship with the world around me. If my ultimate concern is being loved by my significant other, then the approval of my significant other controls my life, even when that approval is clearly self-destructive. People in addictive relationships often make their significant others their gods. Likewise, children from dysfunctional families often make their family their ultimate concern. Psychologists often see family members so enmeshed with each other that it is extremely difficult for them to break free of those bonds. Adult children may still desperately want love and approval from their family, even though they will never get enough. When we make other people or their approval our ultimate concern, then we make them our gods. We give them control of our lives and our happiness. Instead, take back the control of your life. Take responsibility for your own happiness. Seek your own approval, not theirs. Let them have primary responsibility for their own happiness. Don't let them manipulate you with guilt trips.
Oh, the adventures of being a single dad. Just because I don't see my boys every day does not mean that they don't do things that are, shall we say, worthy of sermonic comment. One of the things my sons and I have been doing to stay connected to each other is we play video games together on the weekends. And some of you may understand what I'm talking about. For others, this may take a bit of exclamation. The boys and I both have an Xbox, and they have headsets, and I bought a headset. And using the magic of the internet, we can log on to our gaming systems and talk to each other as if clearly as if we were sitting in the same room together. And often we play games. I've found that having a game that we're all in helps give us something to talk about and kind of facilitates conversations that might not otherwise happen. My youngest son, Matthew, and I were playing a game called Fortnite. I'm guessing some of you are familiar with Fortnite or have at least heard about it. Uh, I heard recently that it took the title of the most popular video game in history recently, certainly the one that has made the most money. Fortnite is a huge multiplayer game that involves a lot of shooting and building all at the same time, kind of a cross between Call of Duty and Minecraft. Anyway, Matthew is obsessed with this game. It isn't my favorite, but then again, isn't really for me. But it is a fun thing we can do together. Now, the odd thing about Fortnite is that you technically don't buy the game. You just sort of download it for free. And then there are what they call in-game purchases that one makes. You set up a credit card and you buy what are called V-Bucks. And then you use these V-Bucks to buy various outfits and things, dance moves for your character in the game as you level up. And the way we have it set up is that I have my credit card connected to their account, but they can't spend this money willy-nilly. We have an agreement that we have a conversation about that first. Well, a number of weeks ago, Matthew wanted to buy something in Fortnite. So he asked if he could use my card to get it. It was something like $20. And I hemmed and hawed because he had a birthday coming up. But eventually I relented. A few days later, I woke up early because it was a Sunday morning, and I was kind of starting my normal routine, and I saw that I had a number of emails from Microsoft. The Xbox is run through Microsoft. 8 of them to be exact, all for $10 and change, tax, $10 each. My first, I thought this was a mistake. I get Matthew on the phone, and after a brief attempt at denial, he admitted that he had bought some level ups for his character 8 times with tax that worked out to be about $86 on a video game that wasn't even mine. Needless to say, we had a long talk about the rules and their consequences. He was very sorry and shed a few tears. I could tell he regretted what he had done. After about 30 minutes, I was sufficiently satisfied that enough guilt had been doled out and that this would not happen again. Well, fast forward until the next weekend, where once again, he and I were playing Fortnite, and once again, we were playing, and then Matthew drops the question, can he have another $20 for some other thing in this game? Oh my God. You know what's in this kid? No, not after last weekend. He gets mad at me for telling him no, goes off into snit, and then I realize he is 100% addicted to this game. I'm raising a crackhead whose drug of choice is Fortnite. In fact, in a recent article, describes how kids' brains are affected by playing Fortnite specifically, was the focus of the study, though it probably applies to other games too. The kids' reactions were very similar to substance abuse addictions. Other hobbies and pursuits go out the window. I heard stories of people in Korea who were so addicted to online gaming that they would forget to bathe or eat or change their clothes. They were literally hooked up to a computer day and night. If you've seen the movie or read the book Ready Player One, you have a sense of what such a future might hold for us. Needless to say, this is concerning. The theologian Paul Tillich says that we all have concerns, and we all should. The important question is, where do you place your ultimate concern or your infinite attention, your unconditional devotion and ultimate passion? For Matthew and many other kids his age, Fortnite can easily become their ultimate concern. How do we know this? Because he gets anxious about it. When things don't turn out the way he wants them to, mean old dad won't buy him yet another level or a fancy gun, he gets upset. And he even tries to subvert the rules, not knowing that Microsoft sends me emails every time a purchase gets made to my credit card. Tillich would say that he has made a sort of idol out of Fortnite. And anytime we mistake the finite for the infinite, Tillich says, then we have broken the first commandment, not to create idols. Fortnite is impermanent. It is changing. It doesn't stay the way you want it to all the time. You don't win every game. There is a whole genre of YouTube videos devoted to kids playing Fortnite and raging at the game because they lost. Whenever we get anxious about something, we worry about it that deeply that we have placed our ultimate concern in something that maybe doesn't deserve it. Fortnite is finite, changing, fickle, and not worthy of our ultimate concern. Now, before we judge the next generation too harshly for being overly obsessed and addicted to video games, let us examine ourselves with the same level of objectivity. As our Christian friends might say, check your heart. Remember Tillich's criteria here. Anything you care about or worry about can become your ultimate concern. Many of us, and I include myself here, became obsessed with what the Trump administration was doing at the time. Politics is a finite concern. That belongs to Martha's realm of things, not Mary's. Now remember, Tillich says that the concerns of this world are not all trivial. They're important too. He wouldn't say to ignore or accept blindly any old political regime or decision that comes along. It's worth noting that Paul Tillich was a chaplain in the German army during World War I and escaped Germany for America when the Nazis took power. Indeed, the Nazis and the Soviets would be his first two examples of idolatry, assuming that the state or the nation is the ultimate concern when in fact it is finite. And that's the question. Politics, climate change, economic realities is a grand or small scale. These are all important, but they aren't the ultimate of ultimate concerns. Tillich talks of these preliminary concerns, the ones that are finite and not ultimate. He says, why then do they make us restless in the deepest grounds of our heart? He asks. And why does Jesus, in the exchange with Mary and Martha, dismiss them as not ultimately needed? As Jesus indicates in his words about Mary, it is because they can be taken from us. They all come to an end. All our concerns are finite, end quote. In fact, Tillich even goes so far as to say that religion itself is not ultimate either. People play games with religion just as they can in any other area of their life. Tillich says this is true even about how we talk about God. You atheists and agnostics out there, tell me if you've heard a Christian theologian say something like this: even God can be made a finite concern, an object among other objects in whose existence some people believe and some do not. Such a God, of course, cannot be our ultimate concern, or we make him a person like other persons whom it is useful to have a relationship. Such a person may support our finite concerns, but he certainly cannot be our ultimate concern. Tillich would be a little critical of the last little commentary on that biblical passage that we saw in the video. So, what should be our ultimate concern? Where can we turn? Unlike Mary in that Bible story, we don't really have the option to sit and listen to Jesus' feet, even if we did accept him as the Son of God. Anything we put forth as the ultimate, any idea or image of God that you have seen, is inadequate to the task. It is but a mere stand-in for the ultimate, and we inevitably run the temptation to make it too concrete, and thus fall into the mistake that Aaron and the Israelites did of making a new idol. This, by the way, is one of the main reasons why Muslims do not allow images of Muhammad or even people in general in their art. It's why Orthodox Jews will not speak or write the sacred name of God. Not just because they're commanded to do so, it's because it makes the ultimate and that infinite ground of all being too easy and accessible. It's, in essence, it would objectify God. Now, as a historical rule, Unitarian Universalism is joined in that silence on the matter of ultimate concern. Creeds, in a way, are a statement of the ultimate, God the Father, creator of heaven and earth. How can you know that? Just because someone told you? We can't really know it. That's a doctrine that we take on faith as a sort of assumption, when really it should be a conclusion. To state, here is the ultimate truth, is to mistake your creation for the real thing. So since none of us really know who or what God is, what or how the universe came to be, we do well to shy away from such arrogant claims. Our tradition of non-creedalism respects that mystery for what it is, an unknowable mystery. We don't know what the ultimate concern should be. Tillich says that the closest we can get is through symbolism, to create religious, artistic, poetic symbols that get at the ultimate in an approximate way so as to rouse us to a kind of religious experience and mystical unity with the holy. But if you think you know who or what God is, you are wrong. Tillich attempts to describe our ultimate concern. And in doing so, he sounds almost more like a Buddhist Zen master than a Christian theologian when he says, if, in the power and passion of such an ultimate concern, we look back at our finite concerns, at the Martha sphere of life, everything seems the same, and yet everything has changed. We are still concerned about all these things, but differently. The anxiety is gone. It still exists and tries to return, but anxiety's power is broken. It cannot destroy us anymore. He who is grasped by the one thing that is needed has the many things under his feet. They concern him, but not ultimately. And when he loses them, he does not lose the one thing he needs, and that cannot be taken from him. What is this mysterious one thing? That passage from Tillich's sermons sounds like it could have been taken from the Tao Te Ching. I don't know. Not sure anyone other than Buddha would know what Paul Tillich is talking about here. I half expect him to have a pebble in his hand that we have to snatch away. Tillich coined that phrase, the ground of all being, as one way to think of this mystery that is worthy of being our ultimate concern. But approach that term ground of being carefully, unless it too becomes our golden calf. Well, where does that leave us? I remember a number of years ago, Famed sports writer and commentator and broadcaster Mike Greenberg wrote a book about sports. You may know him from his very popular show on ESPN, Mike and Mike in the Morning, now Get Up, which is kind of the morning show on ESPN. I was an avid fan of that old show, and one time Greenberg shared one of the opening reflections in one of his books. Smart guy, gifted writer, and in it, he's kind of reflecting on his chosen profession as professional sports commentator. Every day, he says, I get up very early in the morning and talk about sports, usually what happened over the weekend or the previous day. And I argue passionately with another person about sports, which we care about deeply. But in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter. We discuss and debate a thing with passion that doesn't matter because it matters to us. Tillich might bump that up to the level of ultimate truth. Everything we deeply and passionately care about, from the perspective of the ground of being, is a temporary, finite blip on the cosmic radar. And yet that doesn't mean we should not care about them. Just that we shouldn't hold them more lightly, with a little more humility as to where we stand in the scheme of things. At least that's my hope for my son, Matthew. Shortly after that incident, I told him that they were shutting down Fortnite, and then he only had one more weekend of it before it was going to be gone forever. And he said to me, Dad, I know that's an April Fool's joke. I don't believe you for a minute. You can't blame a guy for trying. On the one hand, I love his passion. I love that there is something in life that he gives himself to so fully, something he cares about. Unfortunately, he may care a little too much about something that's not all that important in the grand scheme of life. There are other things to pursue: nature, family, friends, church, sports, comics, movies, relationships, love, life itself for its own sake. He'll get there eventually. All those things are finite, transitory, heartbreaking experiences of human existence that bring us anxiety and worry to anyone who has ever dared to dive into life's fullness. But they've also reminded us why we live, why we love, and what it means to be human. Life is, by its very nature, a finite experience. But there is a piece of us, Tillich says, that can dream and imagine. We are the only beings that, while we live in the finite world, we can taste the infinite, we can sense it, we can dream it, we can write poems and make movies and write equations about it, just enough to make this existence of ours bearable and even joyful. Let us approach life with humility. Let us be slow to assert the answer, and be vigilant in listening to the small a answers that each of us carries with us. For in listening and learning, we inch ever nearer to that which is worthy of our ultimate concern, passion, and affection. May you be blessed in your efforts. I love you all. Go in peace. Amen. May we forever hope in the possibilities of life. May we forever share the adventure of ideas. May we know peace by not expecting the impossible. May we know joy by helping what is possible come true.